You're listening to a New York Yankees episode of the Jacob Valk Show. He's breaking down the team's latest goings-on as only he can. Follow him on Twitter at RealJacobValk. Here he is, Jacob Valk.
Hello, Yankees fans! Welcome to another New York Yankees episode of the Jacob Valk Show. I am the Jacob Valk, and you're not. The best way to do this show is to start by reacting to today's game and then look at the Yankees from a global perspective. Let's start with today's game. Oh my God! How did the Yankees win that game? Oh my God! The Yankees were down 5-0 after 3 innings of play. Luis Gil had given up 3 home runs. They were getting no hit through the first 4 innings of this game. Joey Gallo got the first hit on a bunt single. Who knew that Joey Gallo could bunt, but Gio Urshela couldn't? Joey Gallo is an infuriating player. He has moments where you want him sent to Timbuktu, and he has moments where you thank your lucky stars that he's on your team. He's the Michael Grabner of the Yankees. Michael Grabner, when he was with the Islanders, was incredibly streaky. Joey Gallo takes that to the nth degree. Then in the bottom of the 8th, Aaron Judge gets up to bat with 2 men on. There's no way he's gonna hit a home run, right? Not possible. The baseball gods aren't gonna allow that, right? They did! They actually did! Let me tell you, if the Yankees make the playoffs, and yes, it's an if, Aaron Judge should be the MVP. Not Shohei Ohtani, not Vlad Guerrero Jr., not Jose Altuve, Aaron Judge. What this guy has done to keep this Yankees team afloat, if they make the playoffs, is legendary. Him and Stanton are keeping this team breathing. But let me tell you, Judge is a lot more important to the Yankees than Stanton. I'm telling you right now, if I had a vote for AL MVP and the Yankees made the playoffs, I'm casting it for Judge. I don't care if I'm the only one not for Ohtani. In my honest opinion, and yes, I have a Yankees shirt on right now, but in my honest opinion, Aaron Judge is the AL MVP. Not someone on an under 500 team. Yes, we've given MVPs to players on bad teams before. Andre Dawson and Mike Trout. I totally get it. But I hate when the baseball writers do that. Just because we've set that precedent doesn't mean that we need to continue it. we can realize the error of our ways and correct it, Aaron Judge should be the AL MVP. Make up for screwing him out of the MVP in 2017 and giving it to a cheater in Jose Altuve. I mean, I guess this is what the Yankees do against the Twins, right? Game 2 of the 2009 ALDS, down 3-1, headed into the bottom of the 9th inning. Alex Rodriguez hits a game-tying home run. In the top of the 11th, Damaso Marte gives up 2 singles. David Robertson gives up a third. Bases loaded, nobody out. Somehow, some way, Robertson was able to pull a Houdini and get out of it. I'll never forget this. The camera panned to Ron Gardenhire. I was not at that game. I was at a hotel in upstate New York. The camera panned to Ron Gardenhire, and you could read his lips. He said, "What do we have to do to beat these guys? Bases loaded, nobody out, you don't score. The next batter, Mark Teixeira, a home run that barely clears the left field wall." Absolutely incredible. 2017, the wild card game. Luis Severino only gets 1 out. The Twins are up 3-0. The Yankees bullpen needs to get 26 outs. Didi Gregorius hit one of the biggest home runs in recent Yankees history. It's right up there with the LeMahieu home run in 2019. Yeah, the Yankees don't have too many big home runs in recent history. But the Gregorius home run in 2017 is one of them. The Yankees win 8-4, a game that after the top of the first inning, you didn't feel good about their chances. Believe me, the mood in the stadium was solemn. I was there. 2019, the game where Aaron Hicks makes the game-saving catch. Everything that went into that game. For whatever reason, the Yankees just always own the Twins. It's like the Rays and the Orioles. The Yankees are to the Twins as the Rays are to the Orioles. Okay. Now that I got that out of my system, let's look at the Yankees from a global perspective. Because even though this win was great, and you have every right to be happy with it, all is not right in the Bronx. Realize something. If the season ended today, the Yankees are out of the playoffs. The AL wildcard game would be Blue Jays Red Sox. The Yankees would be watching it on their sofas. The last series that the Yankees won was the series against the Braves. Realize, they split against the Athletics. They lost 2 of 3 to the Angels. They lost 2 of 3 to the Orioles. They got swept by the Blue Jays. And they lost 2 of 3 to the Mets. You can't count this one game against the Twins as a series. I mean, realize the Yankees have not been playing great baseball recently. They were really lucky to win this game. It's kind of interesting to think about. If John Gant doesn't get hurt, do the Yankees still win this game? God only knows what Gant would have done, but it's safe to say that Rocco Baldelli would have managed that game differently. We'll never know what would have happened. What we do know is that the Yankees are in trouble. You gotta realize, on Friday, they looked like the Bad News Bears out there. It was one of the worst games I've ever seen the Yankees play. Not just this iteration of the Yankees. In my 24 years on this planet, there are very few Yankees games that I have ever seen where they've looked worse. I remember a July 4th game against the Indians in Cleveland where they got clobbered, getting no hit by the Astros bullpen in the mid-2000s. Game 7 of the 0-1 World Series. Games 4 through 7 of the 0-4 ALCS. The Midges game. That game on Friday was right up there. I mean, there are players on this team that in no way, shape, or form deserve to be Yankees. If you've listened to this show for a while, you know that there are certain Yankees pitchers that I hate with a burning passion. This isn't an exhaustive list, but Carl Pavano, Jarrett Wright, Tanyan Sturtz, Esteban Loaiza, Sidney Ponson, Javier Vasquez. There are a bunch of guys on that list. Andrew Heaney is on that list. That's not a list you want to be on. Richard Nixon had an enemies list. This is my version of an enemies list. I feel like I should make it. Actually put pen to paper and make it. That would probably be fun. True story. I actually met Carl Pavano in a suite once. I saw that he was signing autographs. I didn't recognize his face. He signed my ball. He put his number down. And I showed it to my father to ask him who it was. He couldn't make it out. He said, look up the number. So I looked up the number. Sure enough, it was Carl Pavano. Now, Pavano is sitting right behind me at this point. I wanted to take that ball that had other signatures on it, not just Pavano. I wanted to take that ball and throw it in the garbage. I had to be very careful with what I said because I didn't want Pavano to punch me in the face. But you can bet on the car ride home, I was pretty animated. The point is, Andrew Heaney is on that list. I don't care that against the Mets yesterday, he looked good. I don't care that today he looked good. Andrew Heaney does not deserve his pinstripes. I thought that was a good trade at the time. I thought it made sense to get another lefty starter. I was dead wrong. I gotta put Jeff Weaver on that list also. Hated Weaver. Traded for Ted Lilly. Never understood that trade. And Chad Green. You know, everyone gets on Chapman for making stuff exciting. Can we get on Green for not being able to set up a game? Chad Green should never be in the setup role again. You want to put him in middle relief? Fine. I can live with that. You want to make him a mop-up guy? I have no problem with that. In no way, shape, or form should Chad Green be a setup guy. I don't care who else you put in that role. Clay Holmes, Lucas Litke, Michael King, it doesn't matter. It can't be Chad Green. Realize, Green gave up the third home run to Francisco Lindor. He gave up the big home run to James McCann on 9/11. Maybe Green can turn it around. He did this in 2019. He had a stretch where he couldn't get anyone out. He got sent down to Scranton. He worked some things out. Then he came back up and pitched really, really well. Obviously, you can't send him down to Scranton. There's no time left to do that, but you've got to do something. Take him out of the setup role. It's just that simple. Those are the guys who you should be getting mad at. Don't get upset at Chapman. Oh my God, Chapman makes things exciting. Let me ask you something. Would you sign up for this? Aroldis Chapman walking the bases loaded if I guaranteed you that he'd get the save? I'd sign up for that. Is Chapman an elite closer anymore? The answer is no. He's not. That game against the Orioles, the day after Labor Day, was really tough. But more often than not, he gets the save. He's not going to be Mariano. That's okay. Chapman still has 26 saves. That actually puts him third in the American League. Do I have concerns with Chapman if the Yankees get into the playoffs? The answer is yes. But for right now, I'm fine with Chapman. There are other players that we need to worry about. We've got to worry about Gleyber Torres. Now, with less than 20 games left in the season, Aaron Boone is going to shuffle around people's positions. He's going to put Torres at second, Urshela at short, and LeMahieu at third. It's not a bad decision. The thing is, though, it's the equivalent of striking out the side after you've already given up 10 runs. What do you really think that's gonna accomplish? Gleyber Torres isn't a shortstop. There's no question about that. We've tried it. It hasn't worked. And yes, the Yankees have an issue. But do you really think that that's gonna be the magic bullet that gets the Yankees into the playoffs? How about you start with not hitting Brett Gardner second? Yeah, let's put the 221 hitter second. You know who really should be hitting second? Anthony Rizzo. This is what the lineup should be. And realistically, this needs to be the lineup almost every day. There's no time for rest days. It's September 13th, and the Yankees are out of a playoff spot. Damn the torpedoes and go full speed ahead. Okay? This should be the Yankees lineup. LeMahieu at third, Rizzo at first, Judge in center, Gallo in left, Stanton in right, Voit at DH, Torres at second, Urshela at short, and Sanchez behind the plate. I want to see that lineup at least 15 times between now and the end of the regular season. There's no time for rest days. You want to give Sanchez a day off because he forgot how to play catcher? I have no problem with that. I mean, that Matador play with Jonathan Villar on Friday. Oh my God. There are high school catchers that could have tagged Villar out there. I've defended Sanchez a lot, and there's no question that he's a better option than Kyle Higashioka. People look at Higashioka like he's the savior. He's really not. He's hitting 178. He gives you better defense, yes, but Sanchez gives you more power. He gives you a higher average. He's going to get on base more. Gary Sanchez is a better player than Kyle Higashioka. Next year, do I want him on the Yankees? Absolutely not. even if the Yankees make the playoffs, and let's say they get to the ALDS, after they lose to the Rays, because I don't see how they beat the Rays in a 5-game series, I want to see major changes. Major changes. Changes so drastic that I haven't even worked it out in my head yet. After the Yankees are eliminated from playoff contention, you're going to get a Yankees offseason preview. I've been thinking about that. What I'm going to say the Yankees should do this coming offseason. I have absolutely no idea. Even something as simple as firing Aaron Boone, which if the Yankees miss the playoffs or get eliminated in the wild card game or get eliminated in the ALDS is going to happen, isn't as easy as you'd think it is. I asked my father, point blank, if he had his druthers, who would be the next Yankees manager? He said there's no one available that excites him. I want John Farrell, but I fully understand the risks of that. Farrell has been out of a dugout since 2017. After winning the World Series in 2013 with the Red Sox, he only won one playoff game. He followed up the World Series winning season with 2 seasons in last place in the AL East. I've mentioned Paul Molitor in the past. In truth, I'm not crazy about him. He has an under 500 record as a manager. In his 4 years managing, he never won a playoff game. And he's 65. Who's better, the devil you know or the devil you don't know? I feel like the answer is the devil you don't know, because maybe the devil you don't know turns out to not be the devil. We've seen these unheralded managers come in and do great things. No one really knew what Craig Counsell was going to do when he got the Brewers job. He's done a good job with them. I hated the Gabe Kapler hire for the Giants. He's going to win Manager of the Year. And I'll say this, there will be at least one manager fired in this coming cycle that makes us think, you know what, maybe the Yankees should give this guy a look. Maybe the Indians move on from Terry Francona. Francona won 2 World Series with the Red Sox. He's worth a look. Maybe the Nationals move on from Dave Martinez. That would be an interesting hire. Maybe a guy like Rocco Baldelli, if he becomes available. Maybe a guy like Mike Schilt, if he becomes available. I will say I like Schilt a lot. Those last 2 guys are more guys who I don't think will be fired, but I feel like there's an outside chance of it. I'll give you another name. Is it possible that the Yankees undo their mistake and hire Girardi again? Buck Showalter, I don't think is going to happen. I don't like Showalter. I think he's incredibly overrated. Every team that he's left has gotten better ever since he left. Like, there's a connection there. And Buck Showalter did not do a good job with the Orioles. Remember him losing a game to the Blue Jays in the playoffs with his closer in the bullpen. Ubaldo Jimenez gave up the game-winning home run. Also, Showalter's on the older side. He's 65. The trend now is to hire younger managers, guys who can connect with the players a little bit easier. So that way you have the possibility of them being here for a long period of time. But let me ask you something. Is it out of the realm of possibility for the Yankees to pull a vintage George move and bring Joe Girardi back? I don't think it would happen if Brian Cashman stayed, and I'm okay with Cashman leaving. There are guys available who I think could be GM of the Yankees and do a great job. Theo Epstein would be fantastic. Bill Ripken would be fantastic. If those guys realize the mistake that was made in letting Girardi go, would you put it past them to correct that mistake? Would you put it past Girardi to do his best Yogi Berra impression? Or his best Bob Lemon impression? Or his best Billy Martin impression? I don't think it's out of the realm of possibility. I'm not saying that Girardi will be fired, but I'll say this, he seems to have rubbed some people in Philly the wrong way. He has gotten a little contentious with the media. I mean, look, we know Girardi's issues with the Yankees, but the simple fact is, the Yankees teams under Girardi were a million times better than the Yankees teams under Boone. You can make a very strong argument that the Yankees beat the Rays last year if Joe Girardi is still manager. He wouldn't have gone for the opener strategy in Game 2. He would have put his foot down and said, no, I'm going to start this guy. If the Yankees win Game 2, they go on to face the Astros in the ALCS. God only knows what happens there. And you know that Girardi would have this team playing better if the Phillies fire Girardi. And I'm not saying that's gonna happen. I could see a scenario where he comes back to the Yankees. I mean, think about the finalists for the job when Boone ended up getting it. Rob Thompson, Eric Wedge, Hensley Mullins, Boone, Chris Woodward, and Carlos Beltran. None of those guys excited you. If you were gonna hire Thompson, why'd you fire Girardi? Eric Wedge was not a successful manager. Hensley Mullins would have made sense. I wouldn't have minded him. Although you get the sense with him that he's more of a career assistant than a guy who should be the top dog, like a Romeo Crennel, Todd Bowles type. I understand that he was a former Yankee, and he's had a lot of success with the Giants, but I'm just not sure how he'd do as the lead dog. If he wasn't hired after any of those Giants World Series wins, that kind of tells me something. Woodward ended up being hired by the Rangers. He's never had a winning season there. And Beltran was fired before ever managing a game for the Mets. If the candidates in this cycle are anything like the candidates in the last cycle, it's hard to really get optimistic. After Girardi was fired, I slammed my fist on the table and I said I wanted John Farrell. He was the only guy who I wanted. 4 years later, I feel like that's still the case. I feel like Farrell would still be my top choice. It'll be interesting to see if the Yankees go that route after missing out on him the first time. But even then, that's just the tip of the iceberg. There are a million other things that need to be decided. I'm not going to go through them here. I'll do it in the Yankees offseason preview, which will take place after their season ends. The last regular Yankees show for this year will be October 4th. I'll put a bow on their season. So you've got 3 more Yankee shows to look forward to. Regular episodes of the Jacob Valk Show come your way every weekday afternoon. I'm not going to give you a show Thursday, though, because it's Yom Kippur. Thank you again for understanding that. Until next time, I'm Jacob Valk, and always remember, if you disagree with me, you're wrong.